A beautiful evening, everyone. I believe you are all well, you're good, and you're still keeping safe. Really, we are sorry for starting late this evening. It was due to some things that are beyond our control. So we are so sorry, but it's always a technical problem. We are very sorry about that. And it's my pleasure to welcome you once again to the clinic with Oluwatosin Oladimeji Ladipo. And you know what the clinic is all about? That is a platform where we help the youth and young adults to maintain virtue while breaking limits. And it's been very fantastic for the past few times that we've started. And I think like 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, we started another series which is all about parenting. And it's been so wonderful having different facilitators talking to us about parenting. And last week, if you've not forgotten that we had some fantastic guests, two young chaps, that they spoke to us about what parenting should be. These people are actually teenagers. They told us that parenting is not all about parents imposing their wills, their opinions on the children. And they really spoke their hearts to us, and we parents learned so much from them. Then this evening, we'll be having another fantastic guest. All our girls, all our facilitators are always very wonderful, and I've always said that they are fantastic, really. And indeed, they are fantastic. There is no lie about it. And this evening, we are having another fantastic guest in our midst, in person of, you know what, I want to do justice to her profile. I don't like saying, because I really want to be formal to say it very well. It's not because she's my person or because she's my mom, so I should just do it anyhow. No, I really want to do it well. I should give honor to whom honor is due. If not, because it's true, I should give honor to whom honor is due. So I really want to do it very well this evening. Just give me for some few seconds while I bring out her profile, then I tell you who she is. Well, most people have been seeing her. They know her really, but let me just introduce her properly, the way it should be done. Now, who we are having as our guest this evening, her name is Pastor. She is a pastor. She is a pastor. Well, she is my mom, but she's a pastor. Her name is Pastor Fumito Augusto. She is the Okay, let me say the way she told me. She is Pastor Fumito Augusto. She is married with children, and she's a grandmother. She is a child educator, and she's education consultant. She is also an ordained pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God, and she's an advocate for raising a generation of people for the Lord through biblical worldview and biblical integration into every child. And Pastor Funto Augusto is also a governing member of the Association of Christian Schools International Nigeria and working committee of the RCCG Christ the Redeemer School Management. And like I said earlier on, that she's happily married with children, and she's also a grandmother. And one thing I guess I've omitted is Pastor Fumito Augusto is the CEO of Edcon Associates. And you will ask me, what is Edcon Associates? Edcon Associates is Educational Consulting Associates. That is who Pastor Funto is. I know you know who she is now. So help me, wherever you are, our viewers, please help me to welcome our guest this evening. I've been able to introduce who she is to you. Please, wherever you are, help me to welcome my mother. Help me to welcome my mother in person of Pastor Fumito Augusto. You're welcome, ma. You're welcome. You're welcome, ma. Nice having you around on our show. Thank you for having me. You're welcome, ma. Now let's go now deep into our program proper for this evening. Last time, those things I've said about you, would you want to tell us some things about yourself? Please just let us know things you think we should know more about you, ma.
Well, I would like to just say that I'm simply a teacher by profession. I've had no other job all my life except to be a teacher or a head of school or a head teacher. Now I'm an educational consultant. So plainly, Pastor Funto is a teacher. This evening, she is your teacher, and hopefully all the people under the hearing of our voices tonight will learn something. I also like to see myself as a lifelong learner. someone that is always
Mm.
learning, someone who can learn something from everyone. You can learn from the children in your house, you can learn from your grandchildren, So I see myself as a lifelong learner. And I started teaching at a very tender age. I have continued in professional development. It is my pleasure today to give professional development to anyone who is in my sphere of influence, who is interested in learning, and who wants me to share with them some of the treasures of things that maybe I learned along the way. So that's why I chose to be an educational consultant, more to be able to impart knowledge and skill in the up and coming educators, but also I'm interested in school startups. I'm interested in school
Mm.
turnarounds. If the school is not doing well, making the school a better place. I'm interested in parenting, and I'm interested in Christian education, being a
Mm.
Christian education advocate. So those are the things
Mm.
that I have a passion about. I have a passion also to continue learning myself. And even
Mm.
this experience with you, I see it as a learning curve. Looking at
Mm.
the questions you're going to ask me, looking at the questions that I have to answer,
Mm.
they're deep,
Mm.
and we learn every
Mm.
day.
Hmm.
So
Thank you
thank you,
so
Coco.
much, Ma. Thank you. Pastor Funto said something now. She said she loves to make things better. By the day, if she sees that there is a place that is not work, things are not working well, that she always wants to come in and make that place a better place. So, who else do you think we would have today, if not for Pastor Funto Agosto? Because what we be discussing, like we shared on our different social media platforms, as is the view of teachers view on parenting, what you need to know as parents for your children to turn out well academically and in every facet of life. Not that I just want my child to go to school and come back. There are some things, some basic things that you need to know about what you need to do for your children to turn out well. So those are the things we'll be discussing today. And she said she loves people to get better and better by the day. So I think she's the best person for us to have today. So nice having you once again, man. Nice having you. Now
Thank
our first
you. Thank you.
question. You're welcome, ma. Now our first question to you, ma, is now the question is there is always this silent battle of responsibility shifting between parents, teachers, and the school. Can you please enlighten us on your view about this, ma?
Um, in any situation where um, any environment where parents are shifting responsibility to parents, to teachers, and teachers are shifting responsibility to teachers, it's because in those parties people do not know their role. The role of the parent in the life of a child is different from the role of a teacher, but they are part of team the team that God has put in place to raise the child. So they are supposed to work together. The responsibility is not supposed to be, this is the fault of the school is not doing this, or they see this child with coming to me without the home training and all that. The reality of it is that we're supposed to work together. We're supposed to work together. Parents must trust teachers, teachers must trust parents. And where parents may not have knowledge, teachers are supposed to be tactful enough to know how they will lead the parents, guide the parents to take on their responsibilities correctly, not just blame, you people is you people is you people. There's a statement that says it takes a village to raise a child. One voice, united front, one face is what the child needs. If for as long as the child can run to school and hide, and the child can run home and tell parents stories about teachers at school, then there's a divided front, and that child, the two sides are going to fail the child. But for as long as the child knows there's nowhere to run, the parents and the school, they are together, they are working together, the child will not have any way of escape between the cracks. So that child will be guided right, and that child will be raised right. When they're not agreed, children can slip through the cracks, and they can tell from the things the parents are saying about school and teachers at home, The child will know, well, I can tell mommy stories about my teacher and my mom is going to believe. And sometimes the child can even go back to school and tell the teacher stories about mom and dad and about trying to escape. So the child will escape at school, escape at home, and eventually both parties would have failed the child. But for the people who recognize their responsibility, that the teachers mean well, the parents mean well, we all have the same purpose to raise a child successfully, then they will cooperate and they would not miss it.
So they should speak with one voice, not that the
One
child
voice,
voice.
one voice, united front, one face.
Hmm. One
So the
voice
child, united front and one face.
and one face. Okay. So the
Yeah,
child will not, it will not give the child any room for the child to escape. When the child is
yeah,
saying
to
that, so this is
escape.
what mom is saying, this is what the school is saying, nowhere for you to escape. So there is
Yes,
no room for shifting responsibility. They
at
should all come.
all. No room. There's no room for it.
Okay, that's
There's
a
no
very
once children are too smart, they can tell that
hmm,
there is they can tell they are wise. Children are so smart, they will be able to tell that, oh, my mom doesn't trust my teacher, my mom does not believe in my teacher, my parents, my teacher does not believe in my parents. They would easily read. Even a little 4-year-old can tell, and they will play tricks between the two, and they're very, very smart. don't don't even take chances with a little child. They can tell. Even between two parents, they can tell. The child will go upstairs, tell daddy something, come downstairs, tell mommy something, and knows they're not talking.
hmm, hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good
Mm.
one. So there
Oh
must
yeah.
be unity, one
There
voice.
must be unity in the home. There must be unity between the school and the parents. The child must know there is no room for escape. When I ask your teacher what I'm going, in fact, what I say, what you tell me, the communication now with internet, WhatsApp, school portals, and all that, the communication should be so tightly sealed that the child cannot escape. Before the child gets home, the parents should have the homework on the WhatsApp message, or they should have it on the parent portal. So, do you have any homework? And the child says no. Mom should say, oh, actually, I saw it on your portal. I saw on the message on the parents' plat. You should just block it all off. It's even easier now. When we went to school, parents had they didn't. There was no WhatsApp. There was no mobile
Exactly.
phone. There was now with all social media, schools and parents, they should just sandwich the child and keep the child in one place and help the
Hmm.
child. No room for escape.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma. That's a very good one. Unity in everything. One voice.
Yes.
One
One
voice.
voice.
Thank you. Yeah,
One
exactly.
voice.
Thank you so much, ma. Thank you so much, ma. Now let's quickly move to our next questions. Which says that because it has been often said that parents are the first teachers of their children, what do you now feel? Do you feel that every parent should learn teaching skills? Do you get that?
Eventually, yeah, eventually, if they don't learn it, if they don't learn it theoretically, they will learn it progressively as they are interfacing with their children. But one thing that is very important is to understand a little bit of child psychology, you know, the methods and ways of reaching children, effectively reaching the child. Now, for example, in the 21st century, children are best reached, and in fact, it's from research that we know that conversation, dialogue, strategy is a very, very, very strong tool to, if strategically and effectively disciplining and managing a child. When you have conversations, that's why you need to have quality time with the child. So parents may not have so much time but they need to have conversations all the time with their children so that you can actually be able to get into the mind of the child and understand what is going on with your child, which means that you should have a bit of knowledge of self-psychology. You should be able to know when if you are hurting your child, if your child is depressed, if your child is moody, all those things, being sensitive to the way the child is. So it's not maybe about learning teaching skills in the manner of delivering teaching lessons, but you need to learn some basic things about how your child's mind is set, what your child's temperament, your child's emotional well-being. All these things are important, because if you're not taking care of the child's emotional well-being, you could be damaging the child. So the parents and teachers teachers always all know all these things. Teachers have knowledge of child psychology, have knowledge of how to manage the child's emotional well-being. But when we talk about raising a child and at home, the parents need more of child psychology, strategies and skills and methodologies that work with the temperament of that child in such a way that when they communicate, they can read the feedbacks in a more sensitive way and be able to communicate with the child in such a manner that they're not doing damages. They're actually imparting knowledge. They are influencing thought processes and steering the child towards right behavior. Getting through conversations, you can get the child to identify and have knowledge of what is good from what is bad. If you are not having the conversations, how do you impart the knowledge of what is good behavior from what is bad behavior? You don't just wake up one day and you're slapping the child up and down and losing it, saying you're not supposed to do that. Whoever told me I shouldn't do that? And whoever analyzed to me that this is what is right from what is wrong? If you're not holding quality time with the children, you're definitely not being in a position to communicate right and wrong. Many of the children are watching cartoons and all sorts of animated videos and all that. And sometimes I've sat in recent time to watch some of the cartoons, and I'll be like, well, thank God they're not watching Tom and Jerry, because Tom and Jerry is all about wickedness, and slamming the head of Tom or Jerry, and slapping their tails and putting it in mouse traps and all sorts of things, wickedness. So the child can be watching that and thinking that all those things playing out are good behavior, or all those things playing out are acceptable behavior. But if your parents actually sit and watch, that's why they say parental guidance is needed. In some of those, when the child is watching something, they say parental guidance is needed. That means that when you are watching with a child and they say parental guidance is needed, it means that you should be having conversations with the child and managing what the child is thinking by saying, that's bad behavior. Nobody should really slam somebody's head in the door. That is Jerry shouldn't have done that to Tom, because, and explaining to the child. And there are many other cartoon characters, I don't want to be mentioning their names, that the traits of behavior in the characters are being taught to children as the children are watching, and the children can go and act out what they have seen, thinking that these are acceptable behaviors, but then parents don't make the time to watch with the children. In fact, usually you want to save yourself. You want the TV to babysit the child for you, so you put the child in front of a television set, and the child is being fed bad behavior, tantrums, lashing out, insults, discrimination, all sorts of negativity is being taught that child. So parents need to learn what is through conversation, to teach the child through conversation, through spending quality time with them. When a child has done something wrong, explaining their behavior to them, explaining to them what they have done. What you've just done now, is it right? Should you have done this? Why is it wrong? And let the child converse with you. By the time if the child does the same kind of behavior pattern a couple of times over, and you take the time to have conversation with the child, soon the child comes to an understanding that this sort of behavior is not acceptable. And when the next time the temptation comes for the child to do just that, you may just have a break where the child just says to themselves, you are not even there, just says to themselves, but oh, my mom has told me that I shouldn't do this because so are the consequences of doing that. And so the child on their own from within them decides, no more, I'm not doing this anymore. And the child withdraws. And that is the best way to manage a child than for you to think that teaching skills, parents can learn teaching skills, but as long as parents are not correcting the child as they're going along, even eating, you're putting using all your fingers to eat your food, until you teach the child table manners. Some children will never ever go to table without washing their hands because the parents have imbibed that germs are under your nails and your hands and all that. So when the child goes to someone's house to say, oh, please and they say, come to table, say, please, can I wash my hands? Where can I wash my hands? And the child then go, and sometimes all the children in the house, in that child is a guest there. All of them don't wash their hands. They just land on the table and eat the food. The child that it has been impressed on, that washing your hands before you go to table, washing your hands when you come out of the bathroom, you know, will never ever, when it has become a part of them, go to a table and start eating without having washed their hands. The same sort of child that has been told, you must bless the food, you must thank God for this meal before you eat it. That child, even if that child's the only child on the table, that child will put their hands together, bow their head, and say their own grace, even if 10 children are around the table that don't know how to say the grace. And they will do it because it has been imbibed in them. So how we raise our children is not really, it's not only the teacher. The parents have a lot to do with how the child is raised and what the child does. So it's not about teaching skills, it's about developing a culture and developing a program for your own self as to what you are going to do and what holds in your house and what sort of child you really want to raise.
Thank you so much, ma. What you said now is too loaded. Very, very loaded. It's not all about the teaching skills that we go and I don't know wherever you go to learn. There is about the culture that you imbibe into a child, into your children, which is true,
Yes.
is key. Sincerely, I remember something. Thank God I'm a Christian, but I have brothers who are not even Christians. But there is something I know about all my siblings. All my siblings, all of us, we are five. Well, we are four now because we lost one 2 years ago. So we are now
I'm
four.
sorry.
Then even before the last one died, the five of us, there is this culture that we all know. Wherever we are going out, we have a way, we must pray. Whenever we comes back from wherever we went to and we are back home, we always go to different corners and pray. There was one time that,
Yeah.
even when I got married and my brothers came to my house, and before I knew it, it just said, tossing, mumbo, as in I'm coming. I was wondering why. I said, let me quickly play, let me quickly. I was like, this was what we learned as children. Do you understand? Mommy taught us that when
Yeah.
you're going out, make sure you pray, commit your ways in God's hands. When you're coming back, whenever you're back home, make sure you pray to thank God. And that was what all of us we've been able to learn. Despite that some of them are not even still Christians, they're not born again, but they are still into that because that was
They're
what they
still, yes,
exactly
because you
that
will
was what
never, yes, because you will never depart from the ways. A child really
exactly,
never departs from the ways that they have been
exactly.
taught. It says, great shall be the peace of the child. When they grow up, they will not depart from the ways. Mm.
Thank you
They will
so
not
much.
depart.
Thank you so much. It's
Thank
actually very loaded. It's not all about and let me go and learn teaching skills. No. And you said something about child psychology, which is true. In fact, what we learned last week too, it was children that that spoke to us. Two children, they're actually teenagers. And one of them said those children were too smart. Sincerely, they were too smart and very intelligent. And what we actually discussed about this, discussing that parents should learn to discuss with their children rather than imposing. Okay, mommy, this is what I want to do. Ask them, what do you feel? Or you think your children are impossible. Sometimes they're not impossible. It's because we do not understand the language that we, these children, are speaking forth. So we should learn to sit down and understand them. Thank you so much, Ma. You've really spoken to us. Thank you. And once
Thank
somebody
God.
said, someone, one of our viewers said something, understanding a child psychology, having a good conversation, not instruction alone. It's part of what you said. She's just seconding what you said. Thank you so much, Auntie Tolu. And our next question to you, Ma, is what do you consider the hardest thing about being a parent?
The hardest thing about being a parent is really making the right choice for the child. There are many choices that you will make for the child. From the time of conception, the parent has to make a choice as to where the child is going to be born. Those choices may be based on affordability, and where you give birth to the child will affect how the process, whether they give immediate attention, the first medical attention the baby gets will be depend on the quality of the hospital and the quality of the environment. So the choices we make that affect the children are the hardest ones. I mean, there are parents who would sit and say, "Oh, I'd like my child to go to Harvard, or I'd like my child to go to Cambridge," But when the time comes for the child to go to university, they may find that they can't afford to pay Cambridge, or they can't afford to pay Harvard, and then they have to make do with whether it's a local university, or whether, unless the child gets a scholarship or whatever. So sometimes the hardest thing about parenting is having to make, or having to compromise on the best choices based on affordability, based on what environment. You may even know that you are living in a neighborhood that is not that is not a good enough neighborhood to raise a child, particularly those who live even in anywhere in the world. When your children go out to play from outside your doors, those people outside the house too, they influence the children. So if I now find that the place I am living in, this is where I can afford rent, but I may be very fully aware that the influences in the immediate environment are not the best for my child, but I can't afford to live in a more sophisticated community. So I have now put my child in this substandard environment. I know someone who told me that she relocated from Nigeria and she relocated to Canada. And when she got to Canada with her two sons, about a year later, she was talking to her two sons, and they were both in primary school at the time. But she asked her, one of the sons said, "I want to be a plumber." And the other child said, "I'd like to join the police or the fire brigade or something." And she said to herself, "Where did this come from?" In Nigeria, where we came from, all the other cousins and people are talking about somebody wants to be a doctor, the other one wants to be a lawyer, the one that wants to go and work in a bank, and then her own children are saying they want to be plumber and fire brigade. Ha! The next thing, she decides she's taking them back to Nigeria and all that. So one of the hardest things about
Oh, I guess the network from our guest end is really wobbly.
the opportunity.
Sorry for that break
Hello.
in transmission. I think
Yes.
okay, Ma. Okay, you're back now. Welcome back, Ma.
Yes. This is Agbedi. He's looking for me.
The
So
network wasn't directly from your
yes,
end.
it wasn't good. But basically that, and then the other thing is also the disciplinary measures, the disciplinary methods that people are raised with. some people were raised parenting. Some people want to raise their children the way they were raised. But
Hmm.
in parenting, depending on the way you were raised, I think it's better for you to evaluate the way you were raised. Evaluate the way you were raised. Look for the good things about the way you were raised, and look for the bad things about the way you were raised, and try to come to a decision as to what would be the best way forward. Um, Many people believe that they were raised well, but actually they were raised badly.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you may think you were raised well, but you were not properly raised. Some of the things your parents did were not necessarily right. You need to evaluate and be sure that in making the decisions to raise your child the way you were raised, apply the type of discipline your parents applied on your children, to also know that the times are different. This is the 21st century. The children have more say in, they have a voice. The society listens to them. So you can't be unnecessarily harsh, and try to apply your local sense, as it were, to the manner in which you're going to raise your children. Because the children of the 21st century have more voice. The Nigerian children are now calling themselves Sorosoke generation, which is that they should speak out their mind. The first world, they are liberal, they are open-minded, and
Hmm.
they have a voice. In school, we talk about teachers, we talk about parents' voice, we talk about students' voice, pupil voice. Schools have pupil representative councils that speak and represent student opinions and all that. So the other thing about what is the hardest thing about being a parent, disciplinary methods have changed from the way you were raised. Parents have to come up with their own disciplinary methods, and methods that will work well in this day and age, without necessarily spoiling the child, as it were. And then sanctions and rewards, creating sanctions and reward systems in the home, creating sanctions and reward systems. Um, Sanctions and rewards may work well in school, everybody's affected, but some homes don't have sanctions and reward processes, and some homes don't know how to effectively process discipline, you know. And then
Hmm.
sometimes there's confusion in the mind of the parents between
Hmm.
love, discipline, punishment, and liberal 21st century ways. So parents are
Hmm.
sometimes confused whether is if I is it, if I do this, am I indulging? Is it love? Or parents are wondering, am I disciplining the child? Am I taking nonsense? Punishment. What is punishment? What is discipline? Some people don't even know the difference between punishment and discipline, and all sorts of things are going on. So parents really have a hard time, and I have a lot of compassion towards parents. Parents have major roles in the educational advancement of their children. It's not only about paying fees, you know.
Okay, thank you so much, man. Now let me now take it from the last point you made now. So aside the school fees that they pay, so what other major roles are parents supposed to pay towards the educational advancement of their children?
Well, the parents are really, really the responsible parties for preparing children for the careers of the future. Parents, some parents, already from the time the child is born, have decided that, oh, I have a law practice, so my child is going to take over this law practice. Or I own a school, and one of my children is going to come and run the school when he graduates. Who said?
Hmm.
Who said? So you lived your life, you created your own business, and you now think that this child you are educating must come and take over your business. And meanwhile, that child has a dream too. That child has a dream. That child has an ambition. You have not even allowed the child's ambition to play out or the child's interests to play out, you know. So parents have a major role towards providing good education, but their major role is really also mentoring, guiding,
Hmm.
providing opportunities, providing the best opportunities and the best platform for the child to fulfill their full potential. Not when you grow up, you will come and manage my business.
Hmm.
If it also happens, one of the children will take an interest in that business, and you can raise that child to take over the business. But if the child has a different ambition or the child has a different interest, then you should also nurture that. God will make
Hmm.
a way for your business to continue. And if you can actually also create a type of business that is self-sustaining. Have a board,
Hmm.
create, get directors, and run it as a self-sustaining business instead of you to think that, oh, I have these big hectares of farmland. When my child comes back from America, he's going to come and run the farm in Mukokomaiko or wherever it is, and the child is thinking, when I graduate from school in the UK, I want to go to Harvard Business School to do my MBA. From there, I want to go off to Australia to take for work for the United Nations or something, some other thing totally out of your imagination that the child has on their mind. So what the parents' major role is providing opportunities, educational advancement, and opportunities for the child to live their dream, and then mentor, guide, protect the child in their vulnerable age, and ensure that you put them on a platform where the sky is the limit. They can
Hmm.
become the first Nigerian president of America.
Hmm. That's a good one. That's a very good one. That's a very good one. I like that. Yes. I really love that. That's a very good one. Ah, thank you so much, Shua. So it's not all about school fees. There are some things you can do for the advancement of your children
Yes.
educationally by guiding them, giving them, providing opportunities for them to
Let,
know.
let, let,
And
let, 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 let me tell you one thing.
okay,
Recently,
man.
I was talking to someone whose son is currently in the UK, and the young man is has an ambition to be a footballer. And to my surprise, the parents are actually allowing him to go to a soccer academy to
Hmm.
get his first degree there. So
Hmm.
not only pursuing his academic ambitions, because he's working towards his first degree as a business degree, and at the same
Okay.
time, the academy is also a soccer academy, preparing him for a professional soccer career.
Hmm.
And it is an institution where people looking people soccer teams go to look for skills, people to sign on. So then the parents are Nigerians, and they've also gotten a manager for their child,
Hmm.
a professional soccer manager that they are paying to manage the boy's skills, so that the boy is very stable. He's continuing in school. He knows that he's going to get his degree in business. And in addition to that, he knows that his own personal ambition to be a soccer champion is not joked at all with by his parents. His parents are not playing lightly with that possibility. So they've
Hmm.
given him an opportunity. I mean, thank God they can afford it. But some parents can afford it. They won't even think about it. They just say, bagbe, 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 forget it, forget it, forget it. What is this? You cannot be a soccer. Soccer is that's playing ball. No, no. And they would not even nurse it at all.
Hmm.
but that can kill a dream of a child. But the
It's true.
child already knows, this particular child has agreed with, they've had conversations around it. The child knows that if he has one injury in soccer and he doesn't have a degree, the team, they'll just throw him
Hmm.
away. So he needs to
Hmm.
have a backup plan. So conversations, support, and the child is on the right path. He's doing his business degree. He's also getting support from his parents for his football career. So, of course, they won't be the last people that will support children like that. But I was very, very impressed when I had this conversation with this family. And I thought, somebody needs to hear this, because many parents, particularly Nigerian parents, would not even think about soccer. It's like your child decides to be in music, or he wants to be
Dancing.
play, yes, or drama, or they want to be movie stars. There are ways about encouraging those skills, or your child has a voice and the voice should be developed and all that. There are ways to make sure that the child gets an education and you still support that interest and that skill in such a way that both will work together concurrently and none will be set aside. So the child will have the better of the two worlds, instead of you to kill the
Hmm.
spirit of one, you
Hmm.
squash
Thank you
one
so much.
totally, because your imagination
Wow.
cannot carry it.
Wow.
God
Thank you
will help.
so
God
much,
will help
ma.
him.
Amen. Thank you so
Amen.
much, ma. I remember was so, well, on this platform too, we had something like that. A young boy, he lives there in the UK and he plays football. He plays football for Ward's End Football Club. He's just 13 years. And I asked him what is actually in football academy now. He's in one
Yeah.
of these academies. And I asked him, what does he really want to become in life? He said two things. One, to be a footballer. The other thing for him to be, is he a computer engineer or something? That he actually wants to be
Mm-hmm.
an engineer. So I was asking him why. He said,
Mm-hmm.
because it's good for you to have a backup plan. Just 13. Leo is just 13. He said it's good for you to have a backup plan because you don't know if you have an injury. So what will you do in life? That was
Mm-hmm.
exactly what the boy said. And just
Mm-hmm.
13.
Exactly.
His name is Leo. He said, so it's good for you to have a backup plan. Thank you so much, ma'am. What you said, somebody is
Depending.
seconding what you said. She said, someone once said, stop living your destiny through your kids. Ma, you've said it all. That you should stop living your destiny through your kids. Like what you said, that because you feel you're a doctor, so you just built one hospital and you want your children or your child come and inherit it. You must be a doctor by all costs, by all means. That it shouldn't be. Thank you so much, man. Let's quickly run down to our next question. You were saying something about parents do not really know the difference between discipline and what else again? You said something about discipline and I've forgotten what you use. You use one word that they really do not know the difference. So
Punishment.
what can you
Punishment.
punishment? They do not really know the difference between punishment and discipline. Could you please tell us your own view about discipline and what punishment is, ma?
Discipline is corrective.
Okay.
Yes, and discipline is not applied in anger. Discipline
Okay.
is not applied in fury and with nastiness. Discipline
Hmm.
is applied. It's applied with calmness, thoughtfulness, and strategy.
Hmm.
You evaluate a situation. You are calm, and you think through what the best way would be for you to correct the child, and you even have communication with the child, and both of you will come. Even sometimes you will make the child prescribe
Hmm.
the disciplinary procedure that should follow, and you can even make the child prescribe the consequences if they should take the action again. But when it is punishment, you've lost your temper, you are annoyed, you flipped, you are totally mad, and you take you want to inflict pain. You want to inflict pain. For as long as you want the person to suffer, then you are punishing your annoyance, taking out your annoyance on the child. And punishment is wrong, particularly if what you meant to do was discipline. So you can decide to punish someone, but you only punish someone because you decided to take out your anger on the person. But when it is discipline that is your intention, then it is supposed to correct the person. It is supposed to be administered in love. It's supposed to get the person thinking and changing the way of their behavior. And so the result should be a positive outcome. But when you go the punishment line, you inflict pain. The person knows the child you are inflicting pain on knows you are angry, you have lost control, thinks you've gone mad, and is not interested anymore in correcting their action. They too are annoyed. And because they are annoyed, they will not really listen to the correction that you think you are giving.
Exactly.
And then, so it's two wrongs never make a right. So punishment never really corrects anything. Punishment makes it worse. Punishment drives a wedge between the two. That's why you can't just pick up your cane and start flogging someone before you explain to them what they have done. All those people that keep a cane somewhere and will carry their slippers and chase the child around the room. Sometimes the child they are chasing doesn't know why. Why is she chasing me? Why is she chasing me? Oh my goodness, this woman's gone mad. Mom's gone mad. Mom's lost it. Mom, dad's gone crazy, and all that. Sometimes the person will even fall or something, and the child is happy you fell. Good for you, you fell. You can't go mad. It really never ever generates a right response, and it never gets a good result, because long after you've flipped your anger on the person is hurt, not only physically but emotionally in their heart, and then you've driven a wedge between you and the child, and the child is steaming inside and annoyed with you for months to come or even years to come. Sometimes to make amends for that bout of anger, it takes a healing process because of damages that have been done to the emotions of the child and everything. Even when teachers do it, years later, I still remember, we celebrated 50 years of my leaving secondary school this year. And my classmates and I, we talked about the wicked ones among the teachers that taught us. We still remember them by name, but of course they did. I think most of them did it in ignorance because anyway, all is well.
Amen. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. In fact, I really gained so much from what you said. I know sometimes these children could be very annoying. Sometimes that's what me I've learned as a person is most times when my son, he just decided to be funny. Most times what I do is I just calm down. I said, Tosin, this boy is playing, he's just playing you. Because that is just me. I was always seeing myself in him. So, and most times I ask myself, so when mommy was talking to you, how were you behaving too? Which is true because my son is just teaching me what I was doing while I was young. So he's now teaching me patience. So just become because I think you yourself you are even doing worse things then. So now sometimes I like, does that mean I was like this? Does that mean I was like this? Sometimes and these days, what I try to do as a parent is I just try as much as possible to be calm and watch. And at the end of sometimes you always want to lash it out. That is always good, like you said, just be calm. Don't bring out your madness. Don't bring out your madness. Just be calm and let God Himself direct you so that your son or
So
children
they're looking for me
can
in
learn
the
what
community center. Please
exactly.
could you?
Thank you so much, ma. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Yes,
Our
yes.
last one. Let me go to our last question, which says that what advice would you like to give to parents? What advice would you like to give to parents?
I would like to give parents the advice that
Oh dear, sorry for that break in transmission. I guess the network is really bad on our end. And that is our last question. I hope she will come back soon before we close. Pastor Funta, can you hear us, ma'am? Her network is so bad. But even if she's unable to come on, even if the network still refuses to come on, but everything she has said, they're actually true. And I think one of the advice she just said now, that parents should learn to be calm rather than lashing it out and bringing out her madness. We should just learn to be calm and do things out of correction, you know not wanting to kill your children because you're angry or you feel that they've done something bad. No, it shouldn't be. Ow, the network is so bad from her hand, and I think we have to call it a date now. She has really done justice to all our questions, and that was the last question we asked her before the network decided not to come on again. Well, wherever she is, I would like to say thank you to her, so that whenever she comes back to watch, she'll be able to see that we've been able to appreciate her for coming online, for honoring us. Thank you so much, Pastor Funto. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being a mother. Thank you for always being there for us. We appreciate, and thank you for all you've been doing, for the good works you've been doing, educating children. That is what your passion is. Thank you so much. And to all our viewers today, we appreciate all of you for coming online. I want to thank Tolu Oseni Yusuf Temitope. I thank you, Tope. Tope Ayilara. Thank you so much, Buki Oche. Thank you. I really appreciate everybody. And I appreciate Auntie Titi. Thank you for coming online. Auntie Tila Yadegborioye. Thank you so much for coming online. And the rest people that I'm unable to see now because let me see if I can scroll down. But if I'm unable to scroll down, but you know that I'm thanking everybody. Thank you so much. And this is where I'll be calling it a date on our program for today. Till we meet again next time, I remain my humble self and your loyal friend, Oluwatosin Oladimeji Ladipo. Thank you and bye for now. Bye.